Hello, lovely students. I welcome you today to Introduction to Business Management class. Now, this course is supposed to help you to be able to succeed in the business environment where you may find yourself. And at every point in time, you realize that there will be challenges here in and out of the business environment. But how are you able to navigate your way through? That's the essence of this course. For our very first lecture, we want to look at the concept of business ownership. So I'll go with you as I share my screen for you to be able to follow the discourse. All right. Yeah. So the concept of business ownership. Great. Now, when we talk about a business is simply an entity, okay, which is supposed to engage in professional, commercial, or industrial activities. Okay, so any kind of entity that engages in these activities is called a business, right? And I'm sure that one way or the other, you've been engaged in a business. Now, you know that the characteristics of a business include the fact that a business is an economic entity or activity. It entails economic processes here and there. Okay, there's also production or purchase of goods and services, selling of goods and services, continuity in dealings. That's what we call the profit earning. Okay, elements of risk. Every business has a certain element of risk, and then on certain returns, you also have the legal and lawful aspect, and then the consumer satisfaction is key in businesses. Great. So in an attempt to choose a type of business ownership, what do you consider? Okay, what should influence your decision in deciding or in choosing the type of business ownership that you should go for? Right now, one of the key things is your skills. How skillful are you in a particular area? That will help you to determine whether you should choose that or that. Again, access to capital. Do you have capital to start whatever you want to do? The expenses, willingness to assume liability, and then level of control wanted. What kind of autonomy do you want in the business? It will help you to decide. Now, the length of time you expect to own the business will also help you to decide what kind of business ownership you should endeavor to go after, right? Good. So in regular terms, we look at these four types of business ownership. Okay. In literature, you find that there are other ones that are mentioned. In literature, you have the LLC and quite a number, but the major ones that we want to focus on are the sole proprietorship, partnership, cooperative, and corporation. So these are the ones that we'll pay attention to for now. Great. So in a sole proprietorship, I'm sure you've heard this word more than 1,000 times in your life. And most of us are familiar with the concept because sole just stands for one. So when you say sole proprietorship, what it means is that it's just one person that owns the particular business in question. And it's actually very easy to set up. So when you look at the whole framework of sole proprietorship, it's owned and operated by one person. Even if the person decides to employ others, he is still the major focal point in the whole business. Now he receives all the profits and the losses, as well as is also liable for the debts. So whenever there's a debt in that business, the sole proprietor has to foot all that. Okay, good. Now he decides how much of liability protection he or she needs. What is liability protection? The insurance against the debts and actions of a business. So the sole proprietor decides what level of liability protection he or she needs. What are the advantages that you can talk about if you own your own business? I'm sure some of you may have your own businesses. Your parents may have, individuals around you, relatives may have their own businesses. What are some of the advantages or things that they enjoy? First one is the fact that sole proprietorship is easy and inexpensive to create. You don't need such huge amounts of money to start a sole proprietorship. You just need what you need for just a basic business to start. And then the owner has complete authority over all activities. So for example, the plantain seller on your street, the orange seller, the barber on your stretch, going to your house, you see these shops by the roadside, all these are businesses, but they are sole proprietorships. They are owned by individuals and they control every activity there. Okay, and it's least, the sole proprietorship is really the least regulated business ownership that you can have. The government doesn't involve itself so much in sole proprietorships. Okay, the business pays no tax. So the individual who owns the business is actually the one who pays taxes, but the business itself, I've not seen any maybe banana seller, vendor, food vendor paying taxes on the food they are selling. They just pay levies to the district and what have you. Okay, and that settles it. They pay taxes as individuals, but that business does not file for tax clearance and pay all of that. They don't do that. Okay, now there are certain drawbacks of the sole proprietorship, and one of the key things is that the owner has unlimited liability. Whenever there's a debt, whenever there's an issue, the owner has to bear everything. So his liability is unlimited, and that makes it quite risky. So again, the issue of capital, raising capital is always a very big deal because it's just you, an individual. So you struggle sometimes to raise capital. Okay. Then again, you have the business is totally reliant on the skills and abilities of the owner. So it's only what the owner knows that usually comes to play in the sole proprietorship, okay? Because it's just him or her, it's difficult for you to get inputs of others. So it's usually reliant on the sole proprietor. And then again, once the sole proprietor passes on or joins his or her ancestors, the business goes to the ancestors with him or her. Okay, and that is one of the key things. Now we want to quickly look at partnerships. Because we have finished looking at sole proprietorships, you can easily say that sole proprietorships can help you. For example, if you want to just start up quickly and be able to do something for yourself, the best way to go is the sole proprietorship. Okay, and now we move to the partnership. In partnerships as well, you look at it from the angle where one individual doesn't have enough. Okay, nobody is sufficient in him or herself. So you try to come together with your resources, with your knowledge, with your expertise. You come together and then you set up something. So whenever the business is dependent on 2 or more people, now the partnership can have 2 to 20 people in there. Okay, and at the end of the day, each of them has a role that they are playing. Someone may be bringing their finances, others may be coming with their expertise, coming together to set up a business. You call it a partnership, right? Great. So an unincorporated business with 2 or more owners who share the decisions, assets, liabilities, and profits. That is what a partnership is. Now, there are 2 types of partnerships, and there are 2 major partners in a partnership. You have the general partner and then the limited partner. Now, the law requires that all partnerships have at least a general partner, and a partnership may be set up so that all the partners are general partners. So you can have a partnership where all the partners are general partners. Now, what does the general partner do? A general partner participates in a partnership, okay? And one thing is that he has unlimited personal liability and takes full responsibility for managing the business. So the general partner doesn't say that, okay, the business is at a loss, but I have this percentage. It's full. So full liability. that is what makes him a general partner. So personal liability is unlimited for the general partner. And every partnership, even if it's 2 to 20, at least if the members are 2 to 20, what we are saying is that there should be one who is a general partner, at least one. Okay, and all of them can actually also decide to be general partners. Okay, there are pros and cons to that effect. Now, some partnerships may include limited partners. Somebody can come into the partnership and say that, okay, I don't want to be a general partner. I want to be a limited partner. So the limited partner has limited liability, okay, to his or her investments. Whatever money, whatever resource he has put in the business is what he is liable for. He doesn't have to, in case of a debt, he doesn't have to run into his personal assets. All he has to lose is just his investment in this particular business, okay? And he cannot, if you're a limited partner, you cannot for any reason be part of the management of the business, okay? Because you know that you will not lose your personal assets in an event of loss, there's a tendency for you to just play around and let the business go at a loss. So the leadership, the management of a partnership is usually left to the general partners. Good. So in terms of partnerships, you realize that I'm sure if I'm to ask, you have a lot of inputs to make. Partnerships are inexpensive to create because this person has that, another person has that, another person has that. You bring them together. It's just like so those of us who grew up in areas where there was agriculture, okay, some people will come together and say that, okay, we are farming together. So this one will go and help this one on the farm, another will help. Sometimes they come together and then they actually farm together. And when the crops come up, when it's time for harvest, they share the inputs or the things that they got from the farm. I mean, the outputs that they got. So it's inexpensive to create. Okay, general partners have complete control. If you're a partner and you're a general partner, you have complete control. So these are some of the characteristics. Now, partners can share ideas. Partners, all right, so that's it. It's difficult to dissolve one partner's interest without dissolving the partnership. So once one person is not interested in a partner, I mean, we are two. It's just like being in a marriage, being in a friendship, being in a relationship. Once the other person doesn't want it anymore, then it's almost gone. Yeah. There may be personality conflicts at every point in time. You come up together as a group of people, and because we are different, we have different ideologies, there's usually conflicts in that sense. Great. And then partners can be held liable for each other's actions. Whenever one person does the wrong thing or the right thing, all of you are held responsible. Okay, so we move quickly to corporations. Now in a corporation, the owners of the business are protected from liability for the actions of the company. So in every corporation, okay, you, the people who are the financiers, okay, are protected from liability, okay, for the actions of the company. Now, there are several types of corporations. You can have the C corporation, the subchapter S corporation, and then the non-profit corporation. Now, a corporation is a business that is registered by a state and operates apart from its owners, okay? It is usually meant to issue shares, okay, of stocks and lives, okay, and lives after the owners. Sorry, and lives, okay, so I get it. It issues shares of stock and lives on after the owners have sold their interest or passed away. Sorry about that. It issues shares of stock and lives on after the owners have sold their interest or passed away. So in the absence of the owners of the corporation still lives on. Okay, so one example in Ghana is the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Okay, over the years, it's been there and it will continue to be there, regardless of whether the owners are there or not. I mean, it's a state-owned property. Good. No, so the C corporation is the most common form of corporation that you could mention. In smaller corporations, the founders generally are the major stakeholder or shareholders. So those who founded it are usually the shareholders. Okay. Now the C corporation is an entity that pays taxes on earnings. Its shareholders pay taxes as well. So in the C corporation, whilst the corporation pays taxes, shareholders also pay taxes. Okay, so it's just something more like double taxation in the C corporation. Okay. Right. I mean, shareholders are simply owners of the business. Okay. Now, what are the advantages of the C corporation? The C corporation is, I mean, in terms of the advantages, corporate shareholders have limited liability. So they don't lose everything they have when there's a problem, there's an issue in the business. But some banks require officers to personally guarantee the debts of the company. That's one of the advantages. You have limited liability. Okay. Good. Sorry about that. Let's go back. Okay, sorry. I think we missed. Sorry, I'll go back and share the screen with you right away. Okay, thank you for your patience. Right. Okay, so we move to the advantage of the C corporation. In terms of the status, you have the owners being also the shareholders, and then the at every point in time, there's this kind of control that they have, and then it also has limited liability. Again, for the shareholders, ability to raise investment money, perpetual existence, and then employee benefits, and then tax advantages. Okay, good. Okay. Disadvantages: expensive to set up, income more heavily taxed, subject to double taxation on income, because the tax, I mean, the owners will be taxed and then the company to also be taxed. So it's double taxation there. Now pays taxes on profits, stakeholders taxed on dividends, and that is for the S corporation. The S corporation is taxed like a partnership. So the S corporation is it's sort of not double. So you just tax once, okay, and that makes it better than the C corporation in terms of taxation. Okay, you don't tax the business and also tax the stakeholder or the shareholders. Now, profits are only taxed once. That's for the S corporation. The S corporation is not a tax-paying entity. So once the individuals are taxed, that is it. Okay, you can have no more than 75 stockholders who must be US citizens. So usually the S corporation is in the US, okay, and usually in Ghana you have the C corporation rather in Ghana. Good. Now the non-profit corporation, okay, must be either a religious one, charity, for public benefit or mutual benefit. Okay, so it must fall within one of these categories. Okay, the non-profit corporation. You can't have a non-profit corporation that is probably into something that ends up bringing them profit. Okay, so it should be for charity reasons, for religious reasons, for public benefit or mutual benefit. So that is the non-profit corporation. And most of the time, it's good that even if you don't have any non-profit corporation on your own, you can also support others who are doing those works to better the community that you live in. Good. A legal entity that makes money for reasons other than the owner's benefit. It can make profit, but the profit must remain within the company. So anytime the NGO or any non-profit corporation makes any kind of profit, is for the organization. Okay. Great. So a cooperative, we're looking at cooperative. A cooperative is a privately owned organization of like-minded business owners that pool resources together for its members' advantage. So you have several businesses, and then you come together and say that, okay, we want to form a cooperative. Okay, so and so cooperative, so and so cooperative. I think GPRTU has that, and some small microfinance businesses also come together. I mean, other organizations come together to set up maybe a microfinance for themselves and all that. So it's a cooperative. Okay, members are its customers. So if you are not a member of the cooperative, most of the time you are not a customer. Usually it's the members who are. So they come together to set up a fund. Okay, every month this you pay this, and when you are in need of a loan, you take it at this percentage, very low rate and all of that. Sometimes they come together to do all sorts of things. Sometimes it's just providing of resources for one another. Okay, so it goes beyond just money. However, you have to be a member to be a customer. Okay, now cooperatives can run like a democratic society. Okay, at every point in time, members participate in decision making and they decide who should be their leader. Great. So limited liability. Now, limited liability is just a combination of sole proprietorship and the corporation. Okay, so if you look at all the features of the sole proprietorship and then that of the C corporation, for instance, then you know that that is a limited liability company. So a company whose owners and managers have limited liability and some tax benefits, okay, but which avoids some restrictions associated with the subchapter S corporation. I told you that the subchapter S corporations usually exist in the US. Okay, now these limited liability companies don't go through the restrictions that the S corporations have. Okay, they are free and better off than them. Now, limited liability companies, when you look at them into detail, you know that they are simpler to set up than the corporation. And then limited liability or LLCs allow for flexibility of the partnership structure, protects its owners. Okay, so when you're an owner, your assets are protected. Okay, its members are not liable for the company's debt. So whenever there's a debt in the company, you, the partner in a LLC, is not liable. Okay, and it's not subject to double taxation. LLC is not subject to double taxation, provides the pass-through tax advantages of partnership. So I told you earlier that it's a combination of partnership and corporation. Okay, and most of the time shareholders are taxed only once. All right, thank you so much for your time. These are the references. Thank you. I'm grateful. Now, if there's any question that you would have and want us to answer, you can kindly go onto the chat or the comment section and then ask your question. We'll be glad to answer your question for you. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best.